Okay. Did that all go through, by the way? I don't know how long it takes for the stream to actually pick up when I hit go live on YouTube versus when I actually start talking. What's up, everyone? Just in case that got cut off, happy Wednesday. Just in case that got cut off, happy Wednesday. How's everyone doing? All right, who's first today? I posted the stream announcement. Whoa, why is there double audio? Give me 1 second. Where's that audio coming through? Hello? Do you guys hear double audio right now? What? Okay, this is creeping me out because I don't have any other windows open. I've got 2 windows open right now. Okay. How did this even happen? All right, I'm gonna have to mute. If I mute my desktop audio. Whoa. What? Okay. Give me a second. Honestly, I have no idea where this audio is coming through. I'm gonna reset my mic. Test. Hello? Yeah, okay, so there's still double audio. My mind is blown right now. I have not changed a single setting since last week. Alright. Okay, give me a second. How about now? Nope, it's still coming through. This is kind of creepy. I'm looking through all my sound settings. Oh, is it okay? I'm still hearing double. This is not how I wanted to start stream. It sounds good there? Okay. This is so strange. Okay, I actually still have double audio coming through. Listen, it's because I muted OBS on my speakers. If I didn't, you see, it's still coming through. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, we should be good, but we I gotta fix this off stream. All right, but we should be good now. I just have to mute OBS. I don't know what changed. Just no background music. I do have background music going on. That's weird. All right, let me know if it's still echoey because on my end, even when you guys said it sounded fine, I still hear echoes. Something's going weird here. Okay, but first we have Stang 2007, who messaged like well before stream started. So what's up, Stang? What's up, Donut Farmer? No, it's too quiet. I'll deal by adding my own music. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. I still hear echo, but as long as you guys don't hear it, then we should be fine. Yeah, it's gotta be something with OBS because as soon as I mute OBS in the Windows volume mixer, no sound goes through. Even though I hear it through my speakers. As long as you guys don't hear it, it's fine. Yeah. Jason, which says infamous topless stream. No, not the one. Sorry. We got Justin Alexander in the house. Craig Lilly. Firestorm. J Dog. We got Shauna in the house. What's up, Shauna? Are you going? No, soccer's over, right? The season's over. Are your Wednesdays free now, or do you have other stuff that is on Wednesday? FG24 says Bean Boozled Challenge. Dude, Bean Boozled tastes like crap. Hope y'all enjoyed that part of the LAN party video, though. What's up, Kevin? We got Monster Vids. We got Martin, aka Martin from LAN Party Stories, in the house, and with the membership join. Let me see if the audio for these come through. I'm gonna play all the membership joins in the last week since last stream. I don't think there's gonna be audio on these. Actually, there might be. I see it in OBS with the sound. Okay, alerts are working. Sweet. Yeah. Maybe I need to reboot the whole computer. The easiest fix. And this is weird because I was just using OBS to record footage, and I did not have this problem when I was doing that. So, all right, where are those hearts coming in? Have we figured out where those hearts are coming from? The hearts in the chat. Because even watching streams, I've never had the ability to use hearts. Johnny Stash says, "Nerd, do you prefer 2 or 4 sticks of RAM in your build?" So this build I have behind me, which is gonna be in a video that is coming up any day now, waiting for the sponsor to approve of the sponsorship message on it. But on this one, I went 32 gigs of RAM. So with 32 gigs, like with 16 gigs, you kind of are forced into two sticks, like 2 8GB sticks. I'm trying to think of if I've seen recently DDR4. The smallest it goes is 4 gigs. I don't think I've seen 2GB DDR4 sticks, right? So, when it comes to 32 gigs, you could either go 2x16 or 4x8, and 4x8 is a little bit more expensive, just because 4x8 kits is not as common. So what you have to end up doing is buying 2x8 kits, and usually that's $5 to $10 more than just buying 2x16. So, honestly, for this one I went with 2x16. So I can go either way. 4 sticks does look more filled, but then you also don't have room for, I guess, if you want to upgrade to above 32 gigs of RAM. I don't know of many people who do actually need more than 32 gigs. Games are starting to push into like 20-ish. Some games. So yeah, I would go for the cheaper option. Go with 2x16. No, the alerts are supposed to keep looping unless they're looping even after the notification goes away. What's for dinner? Asked Jason. I honestly don't know yet. Probably some kind of leftovers. I'm still working through like hot dog Polish sausages that we got a couple of weeks ago from a barbecue. We bought them, got buns with them and everything. They didn't really get eaten up, so someone's got to eat them before they go bad. So I've been eating random Polish sausages for lunch and dinner throughout the last 2 weeks. Nice. Homemade sliders. Nice. Dino Dope says, "Too little, too late, Nvidia." What do you mean by this? And also, we don't know if this card is like Nvidia's saving grace or not yet, right? At $300. So I guess I don't know what most of the community's opinion on the 7600 is. I just got a 7600 in. so I still need to test that. But I think I might wait to test that with the 4060. Your 3600 megahertz RAM won't let you change it to 3600 megahertz. What chipset do you have? Even though, so if I had to guess, maybe it's because your processor or your motherboard technically does not support it, because in the specs for motherboards and CPUs, those each also have their max supported RAM speeds. Though with saying that, I have used motherboards and processors that said they're only like max 3000 megahertz or something, or 2993, and they were still able to enable XMP to above that. So I don't know for sure why you don't see it in the BIOS settings, but what is your motherboard and CPU? And also, do you have the BIOS updated? I haven't run into this issue otherwise, though. Shauner says the Nvidia is definitely not a little too late here. Yeah, um I think just them having a $300 card available, which they technically didn't even have for the last generation, for the whole life of the last generation. Well, okay, no, I take that back. For a 60 level card, because the 3060 basically stayed at above 360 for the longest time, and now it's just getting down to its MSRP of around 329. Actually, we can take a look now as we get into the discussion of graphics cards. Let's see, new egg. If we look at RTX 3060, is this going to be priced higher than the supposed $300 MSRP of the 4060? They did slash prices. Okay, so it is. Oh, man, they did the same thing with the 3060 Ti when the 4060 Ti launched, because that would be a bad luck if Nvidia kept apart last generation's predecessor the exact same price as the successor card. So now the issue that they're gonna run into is at $260. That is, oh gosh, what is that percentage? Like 13% less. Did I do the math right? 13% less than $300. So now is that gonna be what the performance difference or performance gap is between the 3060 and the 4060? We'll have to see. And probably 260 is probably not going to be like a regular going price. If anything, it'll probably be safe to say like more cards are going to be around 270, if not like 280 like these. So yeah, we're going to have to see about that. Johnny Stash says, when are you going to make a WoW content? Actually, I kind of stopped playing WoW for the time being because content on there is getting stale. Plus the guild that I was in kind of fell apart. Also because Diablo 4 came out, and that's can easily take up the time I used to play WoW. So I've been playing Diablo 4 ever since it's released. We streamed a little bit of it last week, and right now I'm level 62. And I'm enjoying it. It's a very grindy game, but any chance I get to play it, I've been enjoying it. So yeah, and that basically answers Kevin's question, which I've seen Kevin online. He's like level 30-ish something. But the thing about Diablo is, as you're playing, it's hard to play through the story, like co-op or whatever, because people will be at different points of the story. But once you get to the end game part where you grind dungeons and stuff, it's easier to team up with people. I've actually mostly been playing solo because other people I know playing are either too far ahead of me or too far behind. So I've just been trying to get to the end game phase for Diablo. Shauner says so actually, where's the first 12 gigabyte model? $280 right here. Yeah. Though I'm gonna say the VRAM issue. Let's see between these two cards. I guess for these two, it's what's the price difference? $20. $20 off of this is less than 10%. You don't always gain 10% performance when you add more VRAM. You do alleviate some issues like texture pop in and things like that. But the whole VRAM issue, I'm not gonna make a too big of a point on it, depending on how it actually the 4060 actually performs. But I mean, the 4060 is gonna be 8 GB. So in comparisons, I don't know if it'd be a better idea to compare it to a 8 GB 3060 or an 8 GB or a 12 GB 3060. Hey, what's up, Kenny D? Yeah, so take a look. So this was just news today, even though I think there's been leaks already that this was going to release in June. But Nvidia today officially updated their page to say that the RTX 4060 is coming June 29th. So they actually gave a date for it. So I mean, we're looking at the full specs. I wish they kind of gave more information here. We'll zoom in a bit, but if you so you can't really judge these solely on paper specs because there's much more in play here. And Nvidia didn't give too much information. I wish they would have given more information down here actually. All they do is give like the generation of the RT cores and the tensor cores. I would have loved for them to say how many of each cores because we do see that the CUDA cores have been cut pretty drastically between these two cards. The clock speeds aren't too different. I mean, boost the base clock is one thing, but the boost clock's 2.46 versus 2.54. That's less than 10%. So, the issue here is the difference in CUDA cores. So that's going to affect the raster performance. And if we look at a calculator, what is that gonna be? So 3072 divided by 4352. I mean, this is looking to be about almost, it's like a 30 something for, yeah, so 70%. So it's about a 30% hit in the number of cores. Now that's, hopefully that doesn't translate to a 30% hit in performance. I don't think it will. um i I don't think it's going to be a 30% performance gap between these two, because if it is, then I think that spells trouble for the 4060, because we already know how the 4060 Ti performs, and I need to get that video out still. But like I said, the sponsor, I'm waiting for approval on that. But if you take the 4060 Ti and take a 30% performance drop from that, then the 4060 is not going to look too good, even at $300. FG204 says it's already sold out as we speak, saying that just saying that because how popular Nvidia cards. Yeah. So I think I think you would be partially right in saying this, because no matter what the performance is, um just hearing an Nvidia current generation $300 cards, some people are going to jump on that right away, regardless of what the performance is relative to what an AMD card is, or relative to what previous gen Nvidia cards are. They just want to buy the newest thing that they can afford, and it's going to be this card for a while. The latest Nvidia release did not sell out. Yeah, 4060 Ti. Well, the 4060 Ti is kind of plagued with the fact that they released it while also telling everyone and telling the world that there's also going to be a second version of that coming soon. So, that could have played in some of the FOMO, and people would have waited for the 16 GB version. Though the 16 GB version of the 4060 Ti is supposed to be $100, and I'll discuss this in a little bit in the upcoming video. But between a $400 4060 Ti and a $500 8 GB and a $500 4060 Ti 16 GB, which one do you think people would gravitate towards if they had to? I know you would probably say people don't. You would get neither, but I'm gonna run a poll because this is actually, I think this is a pretty interesting question. $400 8 GB 4060 Ti or a $500 16 GB 4060 Ti, and you can only pick these two, and I always limit your choices to these two because I know that most people in here are smarter than this, and they would probably pick neither card unless you're in like that one niche category that could make full use of a 4060 Ti. But between these two, which would you rather buy? More people are willing to spend an extra $100 for the extra 8 GB. That's a 25% price increase. Now, my question to you is, do you think the performance difference between the 16 GB 4060 Ti and the 8 GB 4060 Ti is going to be 25%? Because that's what the difference in price is. Because I don't think so. I don't think the 16 GB 4060 Ti across the board is going to perform 25% better than the 8 GB version. We've seen this before in other cards in the past, like the RX, what is it, 480, 588 versus 4 GB. The performance difference is never huge. It is probably like in the ballpark of 10-15%, but not. I don't think there's no way it's going to be 25% because they're not changing anything according to the specs that I've seen. Between the two cards, core count, all the different core counts, clock speeds. On Tech Power Up, they show it being the exact same. The only difference is the RAM amount. It's not even different RAM either. It's not like they upgrade to 16 GB and it's GDDR6X. It is just 8 more gigabytes of VRAM, and everything across the spec sheet looks the same. If Tech Power Up is correct. Shauner, yeah, exactly, Shauner. He says, I do want to see the difference in performance, but I don't think 16 GB would be that much better. So save money, I guess. I mean, we could pull up. Let's see. I want to use an example that has a difference in double the RAM. I don't want to pull up like the example between a 3060, 8 and 12 GB because that's not doubling the RAM. So if we look at 584 GB versus 8 GB, I know this is like a totally different generation. This is going to be a totally not even Nvidia, but let's see. So is this real benchmarks? Do we have real benchmarks here? Okay, here we go. This is just one example, but you can quickly see whether or not this is okay. So the 8 GB one is using more video memory, and it is surpassing 8. So I would believe these results to be true. And we're gonna ignore. I guess we could look at the RX 570 results, and I'll go through all the different games. This was only 4 months ago, so hopefully they have new titles. But look at this. Now it could be different because games nowadays are pushing to more than 8 GB of video memory, as Hardware Unboxed and other channel videos have shown. But I mean, here, if the RAM was there, it actually used it. It went above the 4. But let me see what else we got. Red Dead Redemption. Do they test any harder to run games? But if you look at the performance difference between these two, but for the RTX 4060 Ti, I think there's gonna be more of a difference than what is like being shown in this example. Here's AC Valhalla. Yeah, video memory, because this is all at 1080p. I'm pretty sure. Because video memory usage is all right. Here's Far Cry. So here we have something like from 61 to 67. That's about a 10%, 10-ish% increase. A little bit less than 10. But yeah, we do see video memory being capped out at basically 4 gigs here and going into like the 5, almost 5.5 here. So again, I think the performance difference here, it's not going to be completely reflective of what we're going to see in the 4060 Ti. But I also don't think the 4060 Ti is going to be that much better when it doubles the VRAM. I don't think it's going to be worth the price increase that Nvidia is charging. Now, if Nvidia only charged like $450 for it, it might be more worth it then, because from $400 to $450, that's a 12.5% price increase, right? So then that's around the ballpark that I think the performance difference is going to be, but we're going to have to wait and see. Jason Wimmer says 1080p. I mean, the 580, I remember the 580, they were talking about pushing 1440p in it in like the AMD announcement and in the like release material for it. It was like 1440p capable, right? But that was really a 1080p card. the 1.1% lowers are better with more RAM. I wish there was more examples. Yeah, more VRAM is gonna give you better 1.1% lows. But if I took these at 60 FPS, I mean 1% lows. So long as the 1.1% lows are above 30, especially when you're not running like 144 FPS, this I would say it's hard to tell the difference between these two. If you had this 8 GB card and 4 GB card system in front of you, and you remove all these on-screen metrics, even though you have a high refresh rate monitor, I would say people would be hard pressed to tell the difference between these two. If you're playing the game and not like staring at it, trying to find stutters and stuff, if this was like maybe 144 FPS and then you had like 30 FPS versus 60 on 1% lows, that would be more noticeable. So yeah, you're right. The 1% and 0.1% lows are important, but it's not like the half gigabyte version is going to give you like straight up single digit 1 and 0.1% lows. Now, I remember when Hardware Unbox made the video covering AMD versus Nvidia cards specifically for The Last of Us. That was before Naughty Dog put in the patch that fixed the VRAM issue. So the VRAM issue has definitely been alleviated on The Last of Us because I recently tested it. I tested the 6700 XT versus the 4060 Ti and the 3060 Ti, which it's 12 gigabytes of VRAM versus 8 gigs, and I didn't have stuttering issues in The Last of Us. So problems like that, it is being addressed and fixed from the developer side of things. Though who's to say if 8 gigabytes actually becomes an issue and is not fixable for any future titles coming up? We got pretty big games like Starfield and other stuff like that coming out. So we'll have to see. Man, I've never felt like more relevant titles have been being released so that it's getting more expensive to benchmark. Yeah, Shane, you're right. It's not just FPS because for this one, I'll show that in the future in the video coming up. Because in The Last of Us, as soon as I went from high to ultra, the 6700 XT goes from being like tied to like actually beating the 4060 Ti. But it's the ability to be able to run at higher textures if you want to. Yeah, that's true. But again, of course, you want as much VRAM as you can get for as little as you can pay, right? But Nvidia releasing a $300 card, and remember, I'm no Nvidia simp, right? But you have to put it into perspective. A $300 card, I don't think it's the end of the world that they decided to keep 8 gigabytes in it because we saw AMD do the same thing. Would it be better if they both made the card either 10 or 12 gigabytes? Yes, but I'm not gonna harp on a 8 gigabyte RTX 4060 as much as probably I think is Hardware Unbox the channel that advocates VRAM the most. Like, does Gamers Nexus and Steve from Gamers Nexus, not Steve from Hardware Unbox, has he made that big of a fuss about it? I feel like it is mostly Hardware Unbox, which I love what they do and stuff like that, but I don't fully agree with them on the VRAM issue for every single card that exists. 8 gigabytes is not worth $100. That's what I would say. Like on this vote, between the two, I mean, I know the $400 4060 Ti isn't great value, but I would still, if I had to choose between these two cards only, I would stick with the $400 4060 Ti 8 gigabytes. I would not spend the extra $100 to double the VRAM. I mean, textures may take a hit. 1% and 0.1% lows might be a little bit worse, but the 8 gigabyte 4060 Ti can still be perfectly playable with like medium to high textures. You don't have to run ultra textures. I agree with this, Thunder. Most mid to high end cards need 10 to 12 ish gigabytes. When you're going up and above $400, I think it should have been within the budget. They should have allocated the budget for the card to put it in there, but that's not the case. Yeah. Yeah, so this is weird, and it's different, right? Because this was one of my issues too. So Shane Essex says, I don't have a problem with 8 gigabytes. The problem is when you get a 4060 with, or 40, I guess a 3060 was 12, and then a 3070 with 8, which is what Steve and Tim were saying. So we see that in this case too, right? We're gonna have a 16 gigabyte 4060 Ti. We're also only have 12 gigabytes 4070s and 4070 Ti's. Though it's not completely the same here because the 4070 and 4070 Ti both have GDDR6X memory. So you can't compare directly 6x versus non 6x memory. Though with the 3070, that was the issue, right? The 3070 versus the 12 gigabyte 3060. So yeah, that is just weird. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for them. I don't know what Nvidia was thinking, and if doesn't it feel like it's almost a band-aid solution? When people started complaining about the VRAM, they then said, "Oh, we're also going to be releasing a 16 gigabyte version of it." Yeah, so the bit bus is also what's going to determine the memory capacity, the multiples that they could put on it. And again, that's why you can't just rely on the spec sheet. All these things, not just core count, clock speeds, and architecture, all these other things play into how they perform. So you have to really wait on the benchmark. You can't just look at spec sheets. So that's why I'm being pretty like careful with trying to guess the performance between these two. Um, though, I mean, everything else between the 4060 and 4060 Ti, it's gonna be same memory types, same memory bus width. The power I think is pretty impressive on this though. So the total graphics power for the 4060 Ti is 160-ish watts. I guess there's a 5-watt difference between the two 8 versus 16 gigabyte version, but 115. I don't know why they say so. They're being super conservative here. You could definitely run a 115-watt graphics card on a 450-watt power supply, so long as it's not completely garbage tier. So the good thing about the 4060 is that you're gonna be able to put it in very small systems, uh, and systems with like complete super budget. I mean, I know adapters aren't like favored, but this is where if you got an Optiplex and you don't have like a 6-pin or 8-pin PCIe adapter, this is where it's like, okay, it's a little bit safer to run it with some Molex or SATA adapters because the power draw on this card is very small with some of the power draw coming through the PCI Express slot, right? So 115, that is pretty like it's pretty impressive. So there will be use cases of this card that is not just how much power it can bring to the table, but the form factor and the power draw. So Thunder89 says the 4060 Ti, I'm guessing they mean the 16 gigabyte version. If so, that 4 to 450, yeah, would be a hit, but 500, nah. 6700 XT, new, cost less at more performance, can be had for 320 if you look around. Yeah, that's why I tested the 6700 XT. So AMD, man, AMD, and I bring this up in the video again, RX 7000 series. I don't know what AMD is doing, but how is this their current lineup right now into mid 2023? They announced these two big dog cards back in late 2022. And when you go to the website, this is what they give to you. $1,000+ card, $900 card, $270 card. Like what is the gap between these two right now? What are they doing? They have something around the corner. I'm sure of it, but it's just like how have we gotten to the point where you went from a $900 card release all the way down to a $300 and then you walk back a little bit to $270. This is why Nvidia is doing what they're doing. There's zero competition from current gen AMD in this 500, 400-ish dollar space. They can do whatever they want here because they know some people just want to be on current gen so they don't feel like they're missing out. And AMD is missing a huge segment of the market here. Maybe AMD is waiting to see what Nvidia does, and now that Nvidia released the 4060 Ti and now the 4060, they're gonna come in and hopefully try to do something. That's could be like the only logical reason I can think of. AMD just throwing whatever at the dartboard. I really hope they're being strategic because I just saw, let me see, hardware GPU sales lowest in decade. I just saw this article and they actually have some numbers. Here we go. So AMD, despite what they've done, despite what I thought was a successful 6th generation of RX cards. Well, it's not the 6th generation, but 6000 series. Yeah, because it didn't start at RX 100. But despite the success that I thought they had, especially here coming out of the pandemic, being lower price than Nvidia, bringing in performance, you can find 6600 XTs for what, $260, which blows value out of the water compared to Nvidia. Despite what I thought was pretty successful. So there's this Tom's article that was posted within the last week, desktop sales lowest in decades report, which that's not too surprising. But even of the graphics cards being sold, within here they do quote this John Petty research, which again, unit shipments of AIB boards decrease. Yeah, okay. Here's the total AIB shares in units. So AMD in Q1 of 2022 was supposedly almost, it was like 1-to-3 ratio almost between AMD and Nvidia. Now they've like lost market share. They went and totally halved. So now the difference between two, this is like 1-to-7. The market like Nvidia doubled in comparison. The ratio between AMD and Nvidia cards, it like more than doubled actually. 1-to-3 to 1-to-7 about right here. So yeah, despite RX 6600s being like less than $200, despite 6650 XTs being under $300, despite 6700 XTs being like mid $300, all those coming in way cheaper, better price of performance than Nvidia's counterparts. This is what we have for market share, if this is to be believed. That is, I would think this has more grain of salt, maybe even, well, Steam hardware survey also shows AMD losing badly. So AMD has to do something here. Are they going to do it with the mid-range launch of RX 7000 series with like the 7700 XT? We'll see. Alucard Sparta brings up a very good point. Problem with these charts is where those cards go. Yeah, there are a lot of data centers and mining rigs that probably make up for, because this is just sales, right? This is why I still like the Steam hardware survey because I don't think data centers and miners are having Steam hardware survey pop up so that they can vote on what graphics card they have. But Steam hardware survey still paints a similar picture to this, even though this might not be gamers. I would think Steam hardware survey, being as skewed as they are, has some legitimacy to it, and it shows similar trends. So I don't know what AMD has to do. The good thing is now AMD cards also have, they have a 2nd generation of ray tracing. They have AV1 encoding. They're catching up. They have FSR, which I think FSR combats like DLSS decently well. The super resolution section of it, but for frame generation, I don't know what they're going to be able to do to combat that, because frame generation kind of is magic. It's just like a magic FPS boost. I do complain about frame generation a little bit in the upcoming video because Nvidia has become so reliant on features to sell the product that this last generation with the 4060 Ti 8GB compared to the 3060 Ti, they barely gave a performance uplift, and in some games it was a performance like decrease, but they have thrown in so many features in there that they're hoping that helps sell the cards, right? They're selling the 3rd generation of ray tracing technologies, so if people care about that, they would care about these cards. They're selling AV1 encoding, which I don't think many people care about AV1, but I'm going to run a poll right now actually. Do you care? And based on what I've seen, it seems like would you pay extra money so your GPU can have AV1 encoding? Oh, okay. Actually, do you care if? But yeah, it seems like, and then frame generation. That's a pretty big one, right? The 4060 Ti, as of now, until the 4060 launches, is going to be the cheapest graphics card that has frame generation in it, which boosts your FPS. Though the bad thing is, not every title supports frame generation. So, how relevant is that until, and is that going to be the future? Is every game coming out from here on out going to support it so that it is worthwhile to invest in? Help for stream, yes. So AV1 encoding, I think for the most part, there are other use cases that is not just content creation and streaming. If you just record videos in general and you want to re-encode your videos in, with AV1 so you can get smaller video files, that would be the only use case. But otherwise, the biggest draw from it is for streaming. So that if I'm streaming at like higher quality content, I could do it at a lower bit rate so that people in other countries with data caps or with just slow internet, they could still get good quality streams at their same, internet speeds. You don't have to have good internet speeds to get the good quality streams. And also that helps me out because, as you know, with like companies like Comcast that give you crap upload, the less data that has to go through to the internet, the better if you are like upload speed limited. So AV1 encoding has its uses, but again, if you're not making videos for YouTube or whatever platforms, and if you're not streaming, then there's not much use for it at all. According to the poll so far, of the people voting, about half, it's kind of close to half and half. I'm actually surprised. So for everyone voting that you do care about AV1 encoding, do you only want it because it's just a future proof thing? And the good thing is every graphics card coming out from basically here on out, I think it's gonna have AV1 encoding. It's just gonna be pretty normal now. But for the people who are voting that they want it now, are you a content creator? Are you a streamer? If so, let us know in the chat. And if not, what other use cases do you have for AV1? Aside, is it gonna be like the smaller file, reduced file sizes? Is that what you want it for? Although I do have Xfinity, so yeah, I'd have to think about it now, says Kale. Wait, so I missed some of Kale's messages, probably. I don't stream, so no. And now that I have unlimited data for the video creation, if I create again, I wouldn't care. Although I do have Xfinity, so yeah, I'd have to think about it now. So yeah, if you are a streamer, the you do have to think about it more now, but think about everyone who has streamed up to the point before AV1. It's all been fine, right? Like, have you looked at other content creators who are on RTX 3000 series cards? Have you looked at them and said, "Oh my god, the stream quality is horrible," or like, "Oh, I can't watch this stream without it buffering like every so many minutes," Um, this isn't me trying to push against AV1 encoding because it is good and it is a good thing that everyone is now adopting it. I'm just saying, how much more are you willing to pay for it? Are you willing to buy a 4060 Ti solely because it has AV1 encoding and lackluster performance otherwise, right? All right, I've just been going on a rant for a while, so now let's read. Okay, Lyndon Domingo Lonzandia says, "Hey bro, can you please say go Navy for a shout out?" Okay, so I can't tell if this is legitimate or if this is like the new troll thing going on. I swear, everything on the internet has a second meaning now. I would think that this is innocent enough to just say, "Hey, just give a shout out to the Navy," which I'm fine with. I mean, shouting out to the our armed forces, our active armed forces, and their members, I have no issues with. But I just want to make sure this isn't just like a, like uh a different, what, keep yourself safe. Remember KYS, keep yourself, or just even saying keep yourself safe has a double meaning of go kill yourself. So I'm just saying, I'm gonna say go Navy because I do have members and friends in the active armed forces, and this viewer is asking for it because they support my videos and they are active duty. So go Navy for them and not any other double meaning. Hey, what's up, Demon Man? How's it going? Token Tech says, personally, I like to use my CPU to encode my streams and videos. AV1 for me is great for my Plex server. Okay, yeah, so Plex server usage. There you go. So that even, well, you know, within, like let's say you're using a Plex server for your media center at home and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. So that's another use. So I think Plex server uses and things like that is also compared to like gamers, like the amount of gamers out there who don't have uses like that. I think that is also still considered kind of niche, kind of like how streaming and content creation is. Yvonne et Niage, yes, that Simpsons episode. Remember that? Oh yeah, I always forget to run this thing. Where's that thing at? Where's that like and sub notification? That thing, yeah. If you guys can hit the like button, I'm sure you guys. I think you guys will be subscribed. Who is anyone in stream that just found me on their YouTube front page but don't know who I am and are not subscribed? I don't think YouTube discoverability for streams is that good. I stream on YouTube because you know my sub base likes to watch it, but I don't know if I'm being discovered via my streams on YouTube. But yeah, maybe hitting the like button would help that though. Wait, I do want my next graphics card to have everyone in Caden Live, okay. If wait, if Caden Live lies not using it doesn't matter. Wait, what are we talking about here? JG Wright, can you elaborate? Mayor makes a very good point, and I agree with this. AMD has been getting tons of free exposures from reviewers, myself included. I don't know how many videos I've released so far, basically saying if you don't really need like ray tracing performance and you care more about RAS performance, AMD is like the way better buy. I swear, Hardware Unboxed every single video has shown that AMD has been a better value frames per dollar. Again, if you don't care about ray tracing performance, and a lot of other smaller channels too, or not smaller but medium sized channels like around my size, everybody's been basically given AMD like free exposure and shout outs, and they still aren't like doing it that much better on sales. So I don't know what they need to do. Maybe they do need to target data centers and well, mining is kind of over. So yeah, I don't know if they can win the data center market share though. That'd be pretty hard. Yeah, Demon May also brings up a good point, which is one of my big issues with it. AV1 support is still crawling before it starts walking. It's going to massively help anyone that doesn't have high speed internet and wants to watch stream content or videos. My issue is that even AV1 support isn't fully there yet. Like with Premiere Pro, it's not natively built in yet. I think you could have like an like a external add-on for it. YouTube AV1 I think just recently got supported. OBS is the same thing. Like when AV1 first came out, it wasn't even available on OBS. It was in beta. So for all these use cases, you also have to have adoption from like developer side of things for those use cases, not just the graphics card hardware being there. So yeah, you make a good point. So AMD has both CPUs and GPUs to worry about. So um you could see it as they're kind of like splitting their efforts there, though obviously they have completely different divisions work on the two, but in terms of like a whole company vision, right, they are having to focus on more than one thing. So I got a 4080 over a 6950 XT, decent upgrade. That is I mean, what's a 6950 XT going for right now? Like $600-700, right? If prices haven't changed. Going to a 4080, which I honestly I don't pay attention to graphics cards over $1,000 too often. Let me see. So Newegg. So we look at 4080. Has they even taken any price reduction yet? I'm sure people have gotten sales. Okay, so $100 price reduction about. because they were pretty fixed at 1200, but now you can get one for 1100 compared to a 6950 XT. Which, I mean, these two cards are completely different, right? But like performance, they're completely different. Ray tracing performance, very, very completely different. AB1 encoding support, things like that. So, yeah, so these are $630 now for 6950 XT, and you get Resident Evil 4, which is still a $60 or at least a $50 game. So, yeah, I mean, effectively, 630 minus that, this is like a $580 card if you were going to buy Resident Evil anyways. Yeah, it's almost a factor of 2 in price difference. I would hope there's a decent upgrade in terms of performance there. If you're paying about twice the amount of another card, you're not going to get twice the performance, but hopefully it's closer to like 30-40%. Okay, Lyndon, okay, he's not trolling. He's a passionate gamer, 100% full-blooded Filipino. What is my favorite Filipino dish? It's my favorite Filipino dish. Honestly, I think adobo. Just any kind of adobo with rice. I could probably eat that every single day without ever getting sick of it. Pancit, that's usually for like get-togethers. Like when I ever have it, it is at get-togethers. You know, I think adobo and obviously lumpia are the two. And by the way, you know I'm not Filipino, right? I hope you aren't just supporting me because you think I'm Filipino and because we have had Filipino foods in the land party stories. But I do have a lot of Filipino. I grew up with a lot of Filipino friends, and I still do have quite a bit of Filipino friends. So I am familiar with the like the delicacies. So, but thank you for the support, and hopefully I get the you know, the full support of the Filipino community behind me for being able to pass as a Filipino. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so that's another reason for other dev work that may need like the Tensor Core AI uses and things like that. Blender performance for sure, Nvidia wins. Um, what's the better time to buy a monitor? Prime Day or Black Friday / Cyber Monday? I think Prime Day is just as good, though. Honestly, you don't have to wait for those holidays to buy things like monitors. There are good sales. If you don't already, go to slickdeals.net, get yourself subscribed. They're in the PC computing department. Slick Deals, these guys will find deals year round that are sometimes just as good as Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Prime Day. Also, if you're not already, definitely join the Build the PC Sales subreddit. Is Reddit still going dark? Ah, it still is. All right. This is something we could also talk about today. Yeah, with Blender, AMD sucks. It is not even close. Exactly. I have shown that. It is actually laughable how bad of a difference it is. And I mean, is that all AMD's fault, or is it also because on Blender side of things, them tweaking their side to be more compatible with AMD? I mean, the raw horsepower is there on AMD's side, but can it be harnessed? What are my thoughts on Ryzen 5600 XT3 supposedly being released around $200? At around $200, so we have to look at it from the perspective of what the 5600 and 5600X costs, right? So a 5600 costs what, 150 right now? Oh no, it is 130. And then this 5600X, is this 140? It's 150 right now. So between these two, the 5600 is gonna slightly edge it out more. So at $200, that's $70 more, which is what, more than a 50% price increase. Though when you're, under $200, 50% is not that much. I don't think the 5600 X3D is gonna perform 50% better than the 5600, but I think it could still be worth it. what are the 5800 X3D prices looking like right now? So people who are buying the X3D is because they're really trying to get the most out of their platform without having to upgrade, while they're still sticking to the AM4, and trying to like take advantage of that 3dB cache for gaming specific uses, right? So this is 289. I mean, if it can come in at like not too far off, let's just say it comes in within 10 to 15% of the 5800 X3D, I think that's like an automatic win. If it can even come in within 20%, then I think that a lot of people are going to buy it. Yeah, I think we'll have to wait and see. It's interesting. AMD is still, supporting that platform, even though they've already, moved kind of beyond it. They are keeping their word, still releasing things that can bring uplift to your platform that you could have invested in them. What 2017? If you're still on a original AM4 chipset, that's like 6 years of support you could have gotten out of that. Though it is kind of limited support, right? Those motherboards, they're not gonna have like the latest PCIe Gen compatibility and things like that, but you can still use the motherboard technically. 12600K versus 5600 X3D is gonna be an interesting showdown. It is indeed, because 12600K, those are still like $200, I think. Last I checked, 207. Yeah. So I want is this K and the KF? What? Come on, Amazon. What are you smoking right now? What? Why do we have the the you know the show price of this? Why is the 12600 KF 220 and this one's 207? This is probably just a sale. I don't think this is always 207. I think this is just an ongoing sale right now. This is probably going to go back up to like 220 or something right now. I don't think this is an always going price, unless that was a recent change. But yeah, it is going to basically compete head to head with it price wise. So yeah, that would be interesting. Indeed. Yeah, yeah, that's what I remember. My latest build, I used a 12400 just because I was like, man, so 12600K. I know they're kind of different in like performance tier, but would you rather spend 1250 on a 12600K, or do you go over here to a 12400F, which is sitting nice? Now, this wasn't always 150. This was around 170-ish for the longest time, if I remember correctly. So 150 also looks like a recent price change. But even then, between the two, this still provides pretty good, performance per dollar spent, especially if you are in that like more entry to mid-tier graphics card focused on gaming. Angry Alien says, I'm still stuck on 4th gen Intel. Oh my goodness. Haswell, hopefully like a 4770 or 4790. Hopefully. Not like a 4th gen i5. Back when Intel had like 4 core, 4 threads. And he said, what's up, fellow Washingtonian? What's up? What's up? I noticed a lot of parts are cheap right now. Yeah, so that's one thing. So the only thing that's not cheap right now are power supplies, which, man, power supply prices, I want to complain about them, but so a power supply, if you were to get, let's say, a 5 or 600 watt power supply right now compared to what it was in the good old days, right? Power supply is going to cost you probably $40 more. Like what used to be a $40 power supply is now a $80 power supply, and that really sucks. But that $40 difference, you're saving so much more on graphics card right now compared to a year or two ago. Memory prices are as cheap as they've ever been. SSD prices are super cheap. CPU prices are, it's going down because new stuff is coming out. But like the 12400F, what used to be around $200, closer to launch, is now 150. So there's so much stuff that is cheap now that it really offsets the power supply prices even more than how much they've gone up. So I would still say, it's a really good time if you want to buy and build a gaming PC right now. Hi, love. Welcome home. Yes, you can get a hug. I'll be right back. Give me one second. All right, Melissa just got home. You can't, yeah. So that's one thing too with power supplies. Like a lot of, I don't know what's going on. Like some of the models, like let's just say EVGA. Oops, earplugs. What the EVGA 600 watt. When you look at a lot of listings now, like look at this. So 600 watt GD. This is a C tier, I believe. I think there's two different GD versions, but if you look at the listings here, is this from sold by Amazon? Okay. Like $80 here, but if you want to look at some of the older power supplies that have been popular, they're not even like they're either sold out or they've got ridiculous price. Like let's say the Asus Tough, what is it, 650? This like look, this is what remember when this used to actually be available for what was it, $40-50 around there. Now when you go to it, it's just like you can't even get it anymore. This had its stint of what, like a year of being a super like the popular thing about this one was that it was a B tier power supply for like very affordable prices, right? But now when you click on this, it's just like there's no option to really buy it anymore. And this is not with just this power supply. I'm seeing this with others as well. So so yeah, power supplies is kind of weird. You're just gonna have to. The issue is, if you're building $1,000 system, it's not an issue to like put in an $80 power supply. You should do that actually because you don't want to cheap out on like a bad power supply. It's an issue if you have a smaller budget, like let's say $400 or $500. $80 on a power supply is not something you want to spend. You should spend that, but allocating $80 to it, when that's like, you know, going on 1/4 of the total budget, you're starting to eat into how much money you can spend on CPU and GPU, which for budget systems you really want to focus on if you want to get performance out of. So that's where the used market comes into play. Now, Shauner says B stock. Oh yeah, man, we have not checked EVGA B stock in the longest time. EVGA B stock. Yeah, never cheap on our power supply. Though I will say, cheaping out on our power supply and buying a like a mid-tier power supply is two different things, right? I think C tier power supplies are completely fine, especially all the way up to like $1,000, even $1,200 systems. It's not gonna damage your components. It's not gonna burn your house down. It's not gonna have like the best specs for like Ripple and things like that, but I think it's fine. Some people maybe won't agree with that, but I don't think you have to only get like B and A tier power supplies, especially when you're operating around $1,000. But that's just my own opinion. If you want to, it doesn't hurt to get the best power supply you can. But when you're balancing a budget and you have to, you know, or if you want to try to get more out of your graphics card and CPU, it doesn't make sense to spend an additional $50 to $100 on a power supply just to get the best one. I don't think that makes sense at all. But people can do whatever they want. Jason Wimmer says D tier is fine too 99% of the time. I mean, I've seen some D tier units that I'm like, that actually doesn't look that bad at all. The tier list is very strict. It is very strict, and I think that is a good thing. But sometimes I think people look at the tier list and they say like, oh, the tier list putting something at D. Let me look at the list again. How do they categorize this? PSU tier list from Cultist Network. So high end, okay, that makes sense. With them going to B and saying mid range, bro, I've complained about this plenty of times on the stream before. Do you know what the definition of mid means? Getting a B, especially on a tier list that goes all the way to E, A, B, C, D, E, F, mid does not happen at B. Mid happens at C. That's exactly the middle of the list. In school, even getting a C grade is above getting, you know, a 50%. A C in school is 70%, which is, you know, they call that average, but the whole grading system's freaking weird anyways. So yeah, I think C tier should really be called mid tier, and D tier should really be called low end, or iGPU, and then E tier could be called a void for like the house fire or, you know, burning, destroying your components is that tier. But yeah, I think for the most part, C tier being low end, this is very misleading. There are great power supplies in here, especially if you're looking for value. It doesn't mean that you can only run it in systems with like, you know, 100-watt, 150-watt cards. You can use T tier cards for like powerful graphics cards just fine. When tier list doesn't have an S tier, that's actually a good point, Pika. What happened to the S tier up in here? If this had an S tier, then maybe the B tier being mid range would make more sense. Okay, am I going crazy, or if anyone? Because I remember the tier list has existed since how long? I don't know if they put it on here, but I could have sworn there used to be an S tier. At some point, I could have sworn there was an S tier. And then one day it was just gone. Does anyone else remember that, or am I going crazy here? Superflower does find their way up onto the higher parts of the tier list quite a bit, and they do have a sucky name. Superflower, for some reason, I think of the Mario Fire Flower. I'm mixing like the Super Mario and the Fire Flower when I hear Superflower every single time in my head. Yeah, I mean, plenty of people have built systems with like high-end graphics cards with C tier power supplies, and it's not an issue. C tier power supplies are well within spec, the ATX spec, and it's not going to damage your components, and it's not going to burn your house down. Obviously, for the most part, right? You could have a tier power supply for some reason, like a one-off model or a one-off unit, burn someone's house down. You're not completely protected against it, but it's a much higher chance that the higher tier you go, the less chance that will happen. But I mean, if E tier power supplies and D tier power supplies were that much of an issue, you would see way more news articles about houses burning down due to a crappy power supply unit in their system. Don't jinx my new PSU, Danny. Yeah, Kevin O recently picked up a $60 Seasonic 80 plus. What was it? What was the unit efficiency? It was a crazy deal. In this day and age, that is like a great grab. It was the Seasonic Focus. Oh yeah, it was a platinum 850-watt. Yeah, for $60. Crazy. That is easily a brand new like $150 PSU. Yeah, that exactly. People's houses aren't burning down. Now, when it comes to premature hardware failure, that's another thing because no one's reporting that, right? Only house fires get, you know, news coverage and headline coverage and stuff. What's it called? PC Master Race coverage. But I don't think many people who put crappy, really bad power supplies in a system that over a long term does end up killing the system because it's feeding it dirty power. They're probably just like, oh, the PC died. I'm not gonna make a big fuss of it and go complain on Reddit or you know, forums. So that's what you need to worry more about. But again, C tier, I'm perfectly good with. Now, sorry, we got derailed a little bit. Let's go back to talking about B stock, which Shauner brought up, power supplies. Let's just look at a B stock overall. B stock, I mean, EVGA getting out of the graphics card business. They're still going strong with like their peripherals, their power supplies and things like that. So, can I not just look at all B stock stuff? Here we go. What does B stock have for us today? Yeah, they need to read the methodology exactly, Demon Mitt. You got to open up the spreadsheet, which, where's that tier list at? There's a spreadsheet here. You can go in here. I've shown this on stream multiple times. I've talked about it in videos before. Go to the methodology. Look at what the difference is between these two. Read all the way down. And then also, if you want to, you can look at some more detailed information on each power supply, and they have sources because they didn't do all these reviews. They have links to the individual, like, this exact model, why they gave it that grading based on people who actually reviewed the power supply. If it was reviewed. If not, then they put it into that category of what's it called? They put it into the lower priority or speculative positions if there aren't like full reviews out, but they know like the internals and specs and stuff. But okay, going back to EVGA B stock, we've got a GT730 for our people. I wonder how many units of these move like every single week. These are like one of the most consistent things that you see on EVGA B stock. Never out of stock. They're always here. They're always one of the lowest price items. Is B stock no free shipping? I bought B stock within the last year and it was free shipping for me, but that might be because I'm West Coast, similar to they're based in California. But let's see. We've got a closed loop 120. Okay, I'm gonna end the poll. In terms of AV1 encoding, we got a 60-40 split. More people do not care about AV1, which is, I'm still surprised. I thought leaving less people than that. I thought it would be like a 20-80 or 30-70 split for people not caring about AV1 encoding. But apparently some people, maybe they might not use it, but they would still want it in their graphics card in case they do use it in the future, future proofing. But okay. All right. I think the answer is going to be pretty clear here, but I've given my opinion on 120mm radiators and coolers before. I do not like them. I do not ever think they're worth the price. So now let's get your guys' opinion on it. Which would you rather buy for and we're going to say a $1,000 system PC. $50, no, let's say $60 because this is B stock. We're going to assume you're going to buy a new $60 120mm AIO. $20 tower style cooler on Amazon. Between these two, for a $1,000 PC, what would you rather buy? Because my vote is simple, and you see me do this in videos on the channel already. I'm sticking with that $20 Amazon tower style cooler. I'm not spending $60 on a 100. I think 120mm AIOs, unless you're building like an ITX system and cannot fit a tower, but I'm talking about standard mid towers here that can fit tower style coolers without any issues. I think 120mm is a waste. 120mm, the one use case is small form factor systems. Unless y'all can list some other reasons to get one, I don't think it's worth the money at all. Yes, 240mm for $60, I think it's worth it. I think that's fine. 120mm, I have always had issues with them. I never understood them, but they're still a thing. Companies are still selling it. EVJ still has it here on the B stock. So, yeah. They are situational. They perform about on par with a good 120mm tower cooler. But yeah, raw parts cost money, make them really expensive. And they're annoying as heck to hook up. Tower style cooler. Boom. One fan connector. AIO. You gotta like deal with the USB connector. You gotta deal with the fan speed. Sometimes you gotta deal with RGB. Well, I guess RGB is gonna be on both the tower style cooler too. But also you gotta deal with potential pump failure, bubbles. Or if it's oriented not correctly, you could get like a dry spot from when the air gets in there. So it's just, I don't know, man. Doesn't seem worth the trouble unless you're doing a small form factor system. JG Rat makes a good point. On Amazon, yes. By Amazon, no. Yeah, because the Amazon $20 cooler, it looks so sad. Like, okay, see. Amazon brand CPU cooler. And it's just a rebrand of a Cooler Master cooler, right? Look at this thing. Ugh, this is such a... Oof. That thing looks very sad and pathetic. And it doesn't even have RGB in it. What are they even doing? There are so many Chad coolers right here. This is what I actually used. I have so many of these on hand. I have the white version and the black version. But boom, value play right here. Anyone who spends $22, on this thing is making a huge mistake. I guess this cooler, I think it is a little bit smaller than this one, but this is the value play right here. Is the Vetroo still 20 bucks? Ooh, see here's the mistake that like things like Vetroo is making, right? The Vetroo V5, and I hope ID cooling doesn't go this way too. The Vetroo V5 for a long time was $20. Who's selling this right now, by the way? This is sold by Vetroo. Yeah, this is being sold by themselves. This isn't even a third party marking it up. This cooler I have bought multiple times in the past for $20. They were the talk of the town. They built their reputation up, and boom, they pulled a fast one, and it looks like they increased the price. I don't know the last time I saw this for 20 bucks. They might still go on sale for that much, but for the fact that you can't readily get this available for $20 means that yeah, why would you even buy this at this point when you've got this ID cooling one? Where's the ID cooling one? Oh, I need to go back. Where the ID cooling one is basically the same performance for the same price. Now, I hope ID cooling does not all of a sudden full fast one and also increase their price, because this is a very popular cooler right now. So many people use this. I use this a lot. So this $20 price, I hope they're able to keep it. They're gonna jack up the prices eventually. So yeah, that's the thing. When these companies start jacking up the prices, we need other new companies to come in under and undercut them and provide us with $20 cooling goodness, right? But I agree with you. I mean, these things are not cheap to ship. It has definitely got to cost like quite a bit to ship this versus something else. Because for their size, for the price that they're charging, this is just a hunk of metal. It's pretty heavy. So, hopefully we always have some option for $20 cooler. Yeah, the Thermalright Assassin is also good. That one's like 18 or 20 bucks, right? I think I just saw it on the listing here. Thermalright Assassin, where was that? If you're trying to like go for a yeah, so 18 bucks for no RGB and 19 bucks for the RGB. So most of these coolers perform pretty much in the ballpark of each other. You're gonna maybe get a degree or two difference, but they're all like similar sized 4 direct contact heat pipes, 120mm fan. They're all gonna be very similar, close enough for close enough for most people's use cases to not even really care. Oloy CPU coolers when? I mean, let me look at Tower. Let's see if has there been any new brands that have popped up. Oh, well, computer. So what we need to do here, I'm gonna do that. Actually, I'm all over the place right now. We went on me harping on 120mm liquid coolers to Amazon cheap tower style coolers. But let's keep going down the list here. Shauner said there was a cheap power supply this week. It looks like it's funny because this is midweek. Actually, midweek madness is its own separate thing. So I have to check on that too. Midweek madness at EVGA. Let's see if it's there. It's the same exact stuff. So it's funny because this says this is the feature page and this is the B stock product page. The B stock product it is the exact same thing. Even though this one, oh, they don't even say midweek madness on top anymore. It just on the link it says feature. Sold out. Oh, it sold out today. Okay, dang, we just missed it. How much was it again? $650 GTs for 35. Did y'all load up? All you PC builders out there, did you load up on it? You grabbed 2 of each? Okay. You wish you grabbed more? Hey. Okay. So, I'm not calling anybody out here because I've done my fair share of buying a lot of cheap stuff, cheap limited supply stuff. I'm asking not only the people who are builders in here, but also people in chat who may not be builders but are customers. What are your thoughts on people buying some of these good deals for profit? So like there's obviously a limited supply, whether maybe it's not even just the power supply, but let's say graphics cards. Let's say AVGA puts out a really good sale, limited supply of like cheap graphics cards, and people are wanting to try to buy these. And I know we've talked about this on stream before, but it's been a while since we've talked about it. And then you have some people buying out like 5-10 graphics cards so that they could buy and put in systems and flip and sell and make a profit on, versus people who are just trying to buy a single card for themselves to use and get like a good deal because they're tight on cash. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I'm gonna admit, like when EVGA have had really good sales before, I bought 3 graphics cards. I'm not gonna lie and say I haven't done that. I haven't done that as of recent. Like the last sale, I think I only bought like one of the GD 600 GD power supplies, but it's just because I have way too much hardware on hand right now that I don't need to buy more stuff. So I need to make more content to get stuff out before I buy more. But what are your thoughts on it? Buying and using it to build to sell is one thing, but just buying computers to resell for more is a scum. Okay, so that's actually a good point, because if you're buying just to resell, yeah, I guess that could be considered scummy. It's definitely more scummy in my opinion than if you do use it in a PC build, because you could pass on some of those savings. Because I know everyone who basically builds, like Demon Mitt, Shauner, Jason Whitmer, and probably some other people in here, when they build PCs and sell them, they're not selling it for ridiculous prices. They're making their, $50 to $100 profit on it for their time, but they're not like ripping people off in their areas selling these builds. So from that perspective, I'm more on board with it. But yeah, if it's just a good sale and then you end up listing the power supply as is on your local Facebook or OfferUp for more, then that I would say would be a more scummy tactic. Demon Mitt has no shame. I bought several computers and straight up resold them for more. So Demon Mitt is truly flipping in this case. I don't think all builders are flippers, because flipping, I think, for me, I think of a flipper as someone who gets a good deal on something and automatically just flips it for more money. When you are building a PC, you are putting in your specialty, time, and effort into the build. So you have a right to charge more money for it. Building PCs and flipping it aren't, even though I think who use Zach I know uses like flippers, PC building flippers as like one conjoined term, but I think flipping does have a different meaning than just PC builders. So long as they aren't trying to scalp it and selling it at fair market prices, yep, I could be on board with that. You do that, so Demon Mitt does a lot of straight up flipping, basically taking good photos and cleaning it up. Does have its own, you could charge, if you do a good job cleaning it, it's not unfair to charge like $20, $30 for it if it took like an hour of your time. Buying a computer and now we're getting into the weeds. So I think this is a pretty good discussion, and please do not offend anyone, and please no one feel offended. We're just having a discussion here. So Jason says buying a computer and literally relisting it for hire is literally scalping, though. Actually, let's take a look at I think scalping. So the thing about the word scalping is I think there has to be something to be said about demand, supply. So scalping, I think, implies that there's a low supply and there are no other options. Now, if Demon Mitt is doing that, I don't know if it's less necessarily considered scalping, because scalping implies that there are no other options for PCs out there, which we know that to not be true. There are plenty of other places you can buy PCs from. So let's take a look at what the actual definition of scalping is. Oh my god, removing of the scalp? What else did I expect? Scalping definition, economy, sure. Scalping is trading strategy in which trader profit off of small price changes. Okay, can we get it from like a buying and selling? Like Craigslist, scalp a ticket versus resell a ticket. To scalp carries an informal, possibly illegal, unauthorized connotation that resell does not. So this is an interesting take on it. Scalping versus reselling, right? Yeah, so I think there's definitely a difference in definitions there. Yeah, I think scalping definitely has to tie into the demand and supply at the time. If there's a much higher demand and low supply, scalping is basically giving people no other choice but to go with your like inflated or unfairly priced item. But right now, like I would okay, here's the thing. I would totally call it scalping if like let's say he got a good deal on a graphics card and then sold that in a build during the pandemic. During the pandemic, there was definitely a lot of scalping going on with resellers. Right now, everything is so readily available that yeah, I wouldn't consider that scalping. Though there is still the whole moral or the topic of discussion of did you get a good deal and you are just profiting off of it and you took that opportunity away from someone who would have actually used that product. That was the basis or the origin of why I wanted to bring this topic up. Okay, so look at your 12 days ago, your latest post. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Setup showcases 12 days ago. $900 gaming PC. So if we take a look at this, summer is here and builds are gonna start rolling out fast again. I've got another system all finished up. So you built this for $900. It cost you $900. And what do you have in here? You have a 59. What are you selling it for? I can't. Paid 860. Oh, relisted for $1,400. Okay, you did put the information here. So you're listing it for $1,400. It has a 5900X in it. What's the graphics card? Why am I blind? Wait, am I blind? Oh no, yeah, it has a 6950 XT. Yeah, okay. $1,400. Did you sell this for 1,400 by the way? Have you sold this or is it still listed? It hasn't sold? Okay, so I feel like 1,400 is I guess if you compare it to other was this all used? It depends on if it's used versus new, right? I like to make comparisons to other system integrators, but they use for sure known brand new parts. I don't know. Yeah, so this is technically a used build. So for 1,400, it's not a direct side by side comparison. I would think for a used build with these specs, especially since that 6950 XT isn't worth that much. It's worth we just saw it 630 brand new. So with the free game. So used the 6950 definitely has lowered in price. So for an overall build, I would think maybe 1,300 would help it sell faster, but we'll see. We'll see what you end up actually selling for at the end of the day. But I mean, something like this, you're potentially gonna be able to make what 500, 400 dollars on. So is this scalping? No. Are you making a decent profit on it though? Definitely. The thing is, I don't think it's scalping because there is plenty of other competition. 6950s and 5900Xs are not in low supply. People can make other decisions. Though I'm not saying that your price is bad, but if people are selling PCs at bad prices and they're able to catch like an unknowing buyer, then that's also not scalping. That is called ripping off. I'm not saying anyone in here is ripping anyone off. I'm just trying to like define the different terms, right? There's flipping, reselling, scalping, ripping off. I think a lot of times those terms are interchanged in discussion, but they are all definitely distinctly different things. But we just got so derailed from EVJB stock, mostly because EVJB stock does not have anything worthwhile mentioning. Like they're selling GTX 1060s for $130. These have been you can get these used in your local market for sure under $100. For $130, you can get much better on both eBay and your local OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace. I am sure of it. So, unfortunately, with the good deals like they all mentioned, this goes live like what at like midnight or like midnight on Tuesday early Wednesday. So all the good deals are definitely gonna get snatched up. Nothing worthwhile talking about here. Let's just take a look at some of these other things. 2080 Super for 280. That's actually not as bad as I thought. 3060 Ti for 290. This is B stock though. I they're not it looks like they're not trying to completely clean inventory, or they're just slowly marking down the price so that they can make as much off of whatever inventory they have left. Okay, I could see chat having very different opinions on it. Probably because we do have people in the community here who do buy and sell PCs, and I don't think anyone is wrong. Like, so Jason says, person one sells PC for 500, person two buys it and sells it to person three for 1,000. Why get involved? Person two added nothing of value. They didn't. They just got lucky on a good deal, and it depends on how much that PC is actually worth, right? Is it really $1,000 PC that they got a good deal on? I mean, there's no right and wrong answer to this. It just depends on uh what your own personal beliefs are. I have nothing against people who do buy something for 500. I've done this for a video actually. I bought a PC, did nothing to it, and just resold it for actually a competition to see who can make the most money flipping stuff. So I mean, I I've done this. I don't do it normally, and I haven't done it for a while, but um, it's a free market, right? People can sell and buy whatever they want. If it is priced correctly, it will move. If it is priced incorrectly, it won't move, or they might get lucky and rip somebody off. And at the end of the day, the person who got ripped off, is is it their fault because they did not inform themselves and they were too impatient or things like that, right? I don't want to victim blame someone who got ripped off on buying their PC, but there is some responsibility to be had as a consumer when it's your hard-earned dollars on the line. You can't just willy-nilly go out and buy something without fully understanding what the value of it is. So I think we've had very good discussions. Y'all do not go at it with each other, right? No hard feelings on anybody out between anyone, okay? We're all friends here. um let's see. Whoever is faster has cash in hand ready gets the deal. This is very true. Not only with PC parts. This is true with the housing market, which, oh my goodness, we're not getting into the housing market discussion. But with housing is different too, because there is limited supply of affordable housing. And because with housing, it's a place for you to live and have a roof over your head. It is a housing, or having housing is a necessity. Gaming PCs is not a necessity for the most part. You can't really argue that you need a gaming PC. You could argue that you need a PC for like video editing if that's like your work and stuff, but again, it's a free market and it's not, don't compare it to housing is what I'm saying. There's almost an unlimited supply of gaming PCs out there that you can buy. There's not a limited supply, or there's not an unlimited supply of affordable housing. Yeah, Shauner makes a good point. If the PC is worth 1,000 or more, I don't feel like person three did anything wrong. If the person who sold the PC for $500, what were they doing in the first place? If they were trying to just put a good deal out there for people to grab, they should vet the process then. They should ask the person when they meet up, like, hey, I'm trying to sell this to someone that needs it, not to someone who's going to flip it. Then person two can lie so that they could profit off of it, and then that's on them for lying. Like, it's up to you whether or not you want to lie if someone asks you directly to your face, right? Are you going to be using this PC and getting the benefit of the good deal, or are you taking the opportunity from someone away and just gonna flip it? So yeah, this is I think very good discussion. And thank you guys for keeping it pretty tame. Um I think people can get very passionate about, what they're doing, especially if they are in the business of selling PCs. So yeah. Good chat and cheat indeed, JG, right? Good chat, good chat. Housing is definitely very small scale for sure. I only brought it into the equation because some people might take this example and try to apply it to other things, and it does work with other things, but something like housing, it definitely does not work with. We can all agree that Nob should take off his shirt, though. I am wearing a tank top on the inside, so I would be showing a little bit more skin. But no, dude, my basement right now is what time? What is the temperature in Seattle right now? The temperature in Seattle right now. Oh, okay, it's cloudy and 62. But in my basement, it feels like 40 something. It is cold. Like, it is not that cold outside right now, but my basement being like partway built into the dirt, it is cold down here. I am running a heater right now in the summertime in my basement because of how cold it is. So that's why I'm wearing the hoodie right now. Yo, pants aren't on though. Whoa. You want some leg? I don't have pants on. So yeah, it's weird. It's getting to be pretty much like summertime in Washington. I want consistent 80-degree weather and sunshine. I don't want this cloudy 60-degree weather that we're having right now. I don't have pants on. Nope, exactly. It's been Jason. It's been 100 every day this week. It's hard for me to say. I think I would prefer 100-degree weather. I said it. I'm a small, skinny guy. I cannot retain as much heat as bigger people. I would rather deal with sunny, hot weather than being cold. I'll turn on a fan, sit by the window. I will sit in my house in my underwear. To me, that is more comfortable than feeling cold and having to layer up. I would rather disrobe than to layer up, if that makes sense. That is more comfortable for me. Tune in next week when Nerd on Budget goes 100% commando. Okay, I'm going to end the poll on the AIO cooler. And almost 3-1 people would rather buy the $20 air cooler. Okay, man, how has it already been an hour and 40 minutes into chat? Let me check my email real quick because I was supposed to get a video out last week. I've tested the 4060 Ti. I've come up with my opinions on it. I have a sponsor spot in the video that I need. Yeah, they haven't gotten back to me yet. I need approval on it so I can release the video. So that should be coming this weekend. If they do not approve, I'm going to just submit it anyways and forfeit the sponsorship money, I think. But coming up after that, let me see. So I do have the 7600 in-house. I know content on this already released. I was in Japan at the time, so I couldn't. But I have this in hand now. I think I'm gonna wait to see once the 4060 comes out and do a side-by-side review of this versus the 4060 versus their predecessors to see where, because there's a lot of cards sitting at $270 right now, right? There's this one, there's the 6650 XT, there's the 4060 is gonna be $300, but it's within 10%. It's in the ballpark range. And then what does Nvidia even have right now? What would be the last? Actually, I might not do an Nvidia card. I might do the Intel Arc card because Nvidia at the sub $300. They have the 3060, which we just saw that price reduce, but I can only fit so many cards in at a time, and I think the 3060 Ti being the same price, it might just be obsolete when the 4060 is out. So I was thinking about, because I'm only gonna do 4 card max for the benchmark comparison because I can't fit it on the screen, plus it's just way too much, right? I like to hone in on a less number of cards but actually show you guys the full benchmarks with all the monitoring on screen. I don't just like to show graphs of my benchmarks because to me all the other channels are already doing graphs, so I don't need to add into the graphs benchmarks. I want to add into the side-by-side actually watching the benchmarks real time. So what card should, let's see, Intel Arc, because the set A750 is now what the heck? Oh, it's because I put the name in wrong. A750. Bro, just switch to the ROG Ally? No, I can't. Jason did post a video. I'll pull it up in a second, Jason. He did post a video though of the RG Ally. The Mad Lad spent what is it, $699 on it plus tax, so around $770. Okay, so yes, from it's weird because let's see where's the A770? Where is that currently priced at? What would be the better comparison? What would you consider the competition? Oh, we got a super chat. Which is what I'm going over right now, Faraday. Which is thank you for asking that. I'm actually going over that right now. In terms of content, future content plans. So we do have 7600 content coming out, which I think I'm going to pair with the 4060. Oh, see the A770. This is the 8GB version, and that's I don't think people are gonna want that. So it's either gonna be the $340 A770, which is $40 more, or you choose the less than $250 A750. Intel, the cards, like Intel cards, are just slotted right between like Nvidia and AMD's offerings, and not exactly neck and neck, side by side. It's like it makes it annoying to determine what the best competition is. So what do you guys think would be the better side by side comparison? I'm thinking the A750 because it is going to be an 8GB card. I mean, we're talking about 8GB here, 8GB 4060, 8GB 6650 XT. So maybe the 8GB A7. I'm pretty sure like none of these have moved. You would like to? I would agree. The Acer Bifrost, it looks very cool. I think that I'm leaning towards the A750 because we are looking at, like, we could call this a sub $300 roundup. Whereas if we go with the A770, it's gonna have to be slightly above $300. It's just nice to blanket everything under $300. Where's the best value? And I could still talk about the A770 just because we know the performance difference from the 750 to the A770. But it is. I mean, so it has slowly been getting stronger. I still get. I don't know if you guys are subscribed to like Intel or anything like that, but I get like almost weekly Intel newsletters talking about their driver updates to certain games. Intel is working really hard at improving their drivers, like week after week, month after month. The A750 that launched versus the A750 at the beginning of the that launched versus the A750 now, is the performance is pretty different. Or I could just say screw it, don't even include Intel in the side by sides and put in the 3060 Ti, because that is what is now because the 3060 Ti is now sub $300. No, not sub. Sorry, 3060. The 3060 is sub $300, and it is the direct predecessor. Was why didn't you do this video a few months ago? Wait, didn't you do this? No. So the one that I did with the A750. Oh wait, so I did do that one, yeah. But I can't reuse benchmarks. Every time I do a video, I have to redo the benchmarks. And hopefully you understand why. Because especially since I am benchmarking new titles like Last of Us, new titles like Hogwarts Legacy, those are getting in-game patches that are directly like being affected the performance due to things like VRAM and things like that. So you can't just take like 6 months ago benchmarks for like a card that you did and then just use that again to compare, because the game is different. It's a different patch file. So I'm gonna have to retest it. But yes, you're right. I did do the video, and AMD won. It was the 6600 XT, right? And it was the A770. But this time around, we do have two new contenders. So the 4060 and the 7600. I still don't know how this performs because I have not watched the reviews on it, because I try not to watch reviews of other people's stuff before I form my own opinions. Like I'll maybe look at some graphs and stuff like that, but I don't watch like full on, you know, Gamers Nexus Hardware Unbox or any other channel's coverage on it. So so yeah, that's upcoming content. I do have LAN party stories, Mario edition, March 10th edition. That's coming up. I do have a $400. Sorry, we're getting back to Faraday's super chat. I do have a $400 budget build, which is actually going to be part of a build competition against 3 other tech YouTubers. $400 used parts build. So that's also coming up, I think, next week. Yeah, so plenty of stuff. It's just it's all being worked on slowly. Thoughts on Micro Center Prebuilts? Took me some research, but I had success. Yeah, with the Power Spec brand. We could actually take a look at that. It's 6:45. We still have time. Right now, we're just chilling with chat. Thanks to everyone who has been here. I think the stream number has been pretty consistent throughout the stream, so thanks for everyone who has been here, helping to keep the number consistent. But Micro Center pre-built PC. Let's see what they have. I think from what I've seen before, Micro Center pre-builts have looked pretty good. I'm not gonna say all their pre-builts are good because I have seen some that seem a little overpriced. But okay, shop all gaming PCs. Let's see what they have. Most popular. Let's see what is in their most popular. i7 12700 3060 Ti for 1500. That seems a little bit on the high side, especially only with the 3060 Ti. So something like this, I don't think would be ton of value. What did you buy, by the way? Death Saw. Let's see, 4070 with the 1370 KF for 1900. All these prices, I think Micro Center, their build fee, if you break down the parts and stuff, it's probably closer to like 200, 250. What else? Like, I can't make a blanketing statement that says Micro Center pre-builts are good, but I can say Micro Center does have good pre-built deals. You just have to look for them, right? Like, if you between these two, what's the difference besides so this one has a weaker graphics card, it has more RAM, and it has the same storage. You could argue the case is better, but it's also $200 more. This one is also on sale for more though, so it's all of these are technically on. Actually, this one's not on sale. This one has a 1660 Super with an i5 12400F, 8 gigabytes of RAM only. What? It's weird because this is an HP Omen, so it's not a Micro Center. So we have to look at their power spec specifically. But yeah, none of these are actually the power spec. You asked specifically for power spec, which how can I find specifically the ones that they sell? Power spec isn't even. It's not. I can't click it. What the heck? Yeah, the i7 with the mid-range cards, I don't personally get either. i5s are plenty for it. But I don't know. Maybe there are some niche use cases. What the heck? How can I not find? Do I have to take off desktop computers in the filter to make? Why can I not look up specifically power spec pre-builts? Is there a non-gaming PC? Sort by online versus in-store. Oh yeah, I could enable online. Yeah, even when I type in power spec. So 54, maybe it's just available to ship versus 54 items found. Okay, power spec. Here we go. They changed this. Available to ship because Micro Center is starting to have shipping now. It used to be in-store or online, but now it's available to ship or just all items found. They've definitely changed the tabs. Okay, power spec. Most popular 12700 KF 4070 for $1,600. 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte. I mean, this is actually pretty on par with the likes of all the other integrators. Let's see, 13700 KF versus and 4070. What the heck? So you get 1 generation more. What? Okay, am I going crazy here? Yeah, they're definitely gonna have more options in store for sure. Okay, make this make sense. So you get 1 terabyte more. So there's a $200 price difference. Same graphics card, same RAM. It looks like the same case. Everything's the same except you do get the 13700KF. And then a 2 terabyte versus a 1 terabyte drive, that's about $50. Like a 1 terabyte NVMe is about 50 right now, and a 2 terabyte one is about 100, maybe a little bit less depending on if you get a deal. So $150. If you want to go from the 12700KF versus 13700, I don't know if that's worth it. Like that amount of money, I think is better spent on the graphics card. When you have a 12700KF paired with the 4070, I don't think there's much benefit in throwing more money at the CPU as opposed to more money at the graphics card. But that's just me. Price wise though, Micro Center doesn't look like they're really profiting a ton off of these builds compared to some of the other competitors out there. Like let's look at Meta. Meta PCs for some reason has not Meta from Facebook, Meta PCs. Meta PCs, I'm starting to see them advertised like a ton on social media. When I took a look, it looked like their PCs are kind of expensive. They've also had some drama, I think. But if we were to look at ready to ship PCs, and yeah, DDR5 on 13, DDR5 on the 13th gen will make the RAM a little bit more expensive too. DDR5 is coming down in price, but in terms of looking at it from, is it worth spending $200 more on? I don't know if I would say it is. If you were to run those two systems side by side, the GPU is going to determine most of the baseline performance, and you're not going to get $200 more out of it. But if you're looking to future proof, and get DDR5 and stuff, I don't know if I would settle on 13th gen. I would just wait for 14th gen, but that's just me. Meta PCs, aka Facebook PCs. Okay, what do they got here? So if we were to look at something similar, let's just look at this one because it's a more affordable option. $1,600. $1,600 option. They got it right here. They've got a 3060. This is what Meta PCs. Have y'all heard of them? And this is not me trying to like talk crap or anything. I'm just looking objectively at prices, and they were the first one that came to mind because they've been doing a lot of advertisement lately. Have y'all heard of Meta PCs, and what are your thoughts on their reputation as a company? For me, I think from what I've seen on Twitter, Meta PCs are a pretty well-liked company. If you look at their Twitter page, they've garnered quite a bit of followers. Anytime I see them, if you look at here's them sponsoring a user, pretty positive, community interactions with Meta PCs. Based on what I've seen, they were on Jimmy Kimmel actually. Yeah, so because of the whole Facebook controversy trying to, I think, copyright the name Meta. So I think overall they've got a pretty positive perception in the community, right? So that's kind of some background information on them. Here's their $1,600 PC, which is on sale from $1,760. They're giving you a 3060 in it. So 3060 versus Micro Center's 4070. They're only giving you 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM versus 32 gigabytes over here. Please tell me they give at least 1 terabyte of storage. Okay, they give 1 terabyte of storage. They have a power supply. They have a 13400F, which is not an i7, but it's the next generation. B660M. So something like this, I can look at and say like, ooh, this seems a bit overpriced. In relation, Micro Center looks like they do have pretty solid deals. And I'm going to say Meta PC isn't the only company that's doing this. There are plenty of other system integrators that are putting out systems around this price with similar specs. Shauner says, bro, I need to start charging these prices. Well, so part of the price charge that they could justify is overhead, is the warranty support, and is the brand reputation. Something Nvidia is very familiar with, right? Shauner, you can't just start using these prices because you're one guy out of your house. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't strive to become a big, company like this and make more money, but they do have the ability to command these prices. I think Meta PCs is pretty successful based on what I've seen on Twitter. People vouching for them, people saying I bought a Meta PC. So they are selling systems. Maybe not this one. Let's take a look at They're selling a $2,000 system with a 3060 Ti in it. Okay, this is I off the top of your head, I mean, what should a build with a 13400F and a 3060 Ti, 32 gigs of RAM, 1TB SSD look like, right? I think you could easily build that for can you? Okay, everyone, let's look at these specs. You think you could build this with PC Part Picker for $1,200? Maybe even cheaper than $1,200, but I'm gonna be conservative. So we just looked at 2 PCs from them. I think do they have an about us? About us. I think Meta is definitely one of those boutique builders that take pride in their building skills. So and customer service. So I think they're charging a lot because people are still paying it because people are okay with, it as long as they're getting that support and warranty and stuff. Because to me, this system parts alone should not be over $1,200. Then even if you tack on a $300 build fee, that brings you up to $1,500. So at $2,000, this seems very expensive for the experience, doesn't it? Go undercover again, bro. Buy a Meta PC. Oh man. So Meta definitely okay. So we're gonna bring up PowerGPU, and because I know PowerGPU, they definitely also take pride in their buildmanship and quality and customer service. PowerGPU is a very beloved company, in the community, to streamers, to PC gamers. Like if you look on their Twitter, I've basically never seen anything negative said about them, or rarely see anything negative. I do see people complain about their prices, but you don't have to buy it if it's expensive, right? But let's take a look at their ready to ship PCs, weekly drops. All right, so we're gonna look at a $2,000 PC here. Can I sort by price? Sort by. Okay, I can't filter by lowest price, but we can limit it to, let's do $2,100. The 2070 is the closest thing they have. Sorry, I'm blinding you. For some reason, dark mode isn't turned on right now. So what do they got in here? We've got a 13600K and a 3070. So 13600K, 3070 for 2,000. A little bit better than here, which had a 3060 Ti and a 13400 for 2,000. What else they have in here? 2TB NVMe. Okay, so that's already better. 32 gigabytes of RAM, and over here we do have 32. This is DDR5. This is DDR4. So between the two, the value, and I think PowerGPU is a bigger company. I mean, you could say that the margins are definitely less on PowerGPU. They're making less money on it, because they are giving you that 3070, 13600K, and a Z690 with DDR5. Whereas over here, you've got a B760 and DDR4. So for almost the same price, they're definitely providing more value. Though looking at this, I'm off the top of my head, I'm trying to figure out what their profit would be compared to PC Part Picker pricing. With the 3070 in there, and they're doing at 2,000. Yeah, their margins are probably like $400, around $400. Whereas the other one was like $700 or $800, right? Compared to PC Part Picker pricing. So, this one also have 0 air. Wait, oh yeah, they had the Mach-Cube 110. 0 airflow. So this goes back to the person who asked it. What are my thoughts on power spec PCs from Micro Center? Yeah, I think Micro Center is providing good value compared to a lot of other system integrators, especially more value compared to some of the boutique builders, which it's different. There's a whole there's this whole culture around some of these companies, like Meta and PowerGPU. You aren't buying a PC for the specs here. You are buying these companies because of their reputation in the community. So I think like if you go to PowerGPU vouch, anytime like there's a huge following for these companies and people supporting them. Let me see if I can find one suggestion. If I look up the words vouch PC suggestion, I'm not sure if any of you who use Twitter, like as soon as someone asks about a recommendation, okay, that's and so NZXT also does this. So NZXT, I've seen it for PowerGPU quite a bit, and then some other companies. But basically, anytime someone goes on Twitter and asks for a PC suggestion, these companies are like on top of it, and then other people who are their customers also chime in and vouch for them. So it's definitely, you're not just buying specs here. You're buying the experience, customer experience you get with them. Yeah, that's all. No worries. That was actually a pretty good discussion because for someone like me, I definitely go for price to performance, right? I'm trying to max out on how much I can get out of the PC for the amount I spend. I'm not worried about customer service because, except for replacement of parts, which that's what you have the parts warranty for, but I'm not worried about, really technical support. Should anything go wrong, I need them to help me troubleshoot it. But that's not the majority of people buying gaming PCs out there, I don't think. Yeah, Shane, you make a good point. So that further pushes the point that PowerGPU is definitely. It's funny because PowerGPU has way bigger of a following, so they can command higher prices, but they're not. They're actually, giving you a better quality case, better processor, Z690, DDR5 RAM, 3070, 2 TB SSD. In every respect, they're giving you a better build than Meta is. For the same price, essentially, $60 difference. I will note though that this PowerGPU build, there's only one of. This is their ready to ship, I think, drop. I don't think they just have a ton of these. Yeah, it's out of stock. So you can't get it right now if you wanted. Whereas the Meta PC, they are building tons of these, right? So there is no exclusivity, there's no limited quantity. You can just get this at this price anytime. So you got to bring that into comparison, but I mean, we could talk about this for hours. The Deep Cool case, the Mach Cube 110 goes on sale for like $32 or something sometimes. I wonder how much they pay for a pallet of them. That's a good point. Yeah. All right. We are past 2 hours into stream. There was a lot to talk about today. Chat has been great. We have easily been able to. I mean, I started the stream really with the only topic I wanted to talk about, the RTX 4060, which we did at the start of the stream. But then we were able to segue and transition into so many other topics naturally that I'm so happy that we've got that going on here in the community. What you guys bring to the table in terms of discussion and the questions asked, it makes it so easy for me to fill a 2-hour stream, like no issues. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for everyone who is here week after week. All the regulars. Thank you to all the new people who are, giving the stream a chance, tuning in to see what this is all about. I'm super grateful for what we have here. We are at the 2-hour mark. I think I want to spend the next 15 or so minutes just hanging out mostly in chat because I have been doing a lot of browser time. I want to focus on chat, get to people's comments before I get to having dinner and catching up with Melissa for the rest of the night. So, what's going on, chat? How is everyone doing? Death Saul says, I've seen a lot of power spec used repurposed Lian Li cases. Yep. A lot of these, I mean, I wouldn't say that this Meta PC is a repurposed case, but they definitely got their own branding logo on it. And this is the Mach Cube 110. So yeah, a lot of the Prebuilts, they use existing cases. They don't have like unique exclusive cases. So yeah. There's a lot of nice cases coming out for low prices. Exactly. I mean, that's good. Honestly, I don't know about y'all, but I don't like spending a lot of money on a case. A case, the one sole purpose it has is protecting your components and giving you a power button to turn it on. That is pretty much it. And I guess providing airflow if your system needs it. And fitting your components. But that's about it. Between a $50 versus a $200 case, aside from aesthetics and, you know, the ease of building, but you only build your PC once. And maybe you you switch parts out. But a lot of the times, a $150 case is not bringing 3 times the value of what a $50 case brings. You start paying for aesthetics, you start paying for little small features that aren't fully utilized throughout the rest of the case. Like, having good cable management is awesome, but most people aren't in their computers every single day, like switching parts around. You do that every once in a while, and paying the extra $100, is that worth it? Honestly, objectively, I don't think it is worth it, but some people may say that it is. What's going on here? What did Shane say? It's only 79 AUD here. Every day is quite often sale. The pop is 140 AUD. Okay, yeah, so big price differences. And you also have to keep in mind price differences in the US. The US is like, you know, it is like the best place to buy computer components, I feel. Everywhere else has ridiculously expensive prices. Or like some kind of markup. The US is like, if you visited the US, it might be worth it for you to buy a PC here and ship it back home. Unless you have to pay taxes on it once you get it back home. You probably do if you're shipping something that big and that valuable. But still, yeah, prices are different across the board. Mic 1360, holy crap. Mic 1360 can, with the $50 super chat. Thank you, Mike. I hope all is going well. Love the 3+ hour LAN party video. When do you guys plan to have another LAN party? Life has been crazy for myself. Just got a new job in IT. Now I'm an IT support engineer, and that's been going extremely well. Well, glad to hear that you are doing well. Mike 1360 is a regular in these streams. So coming from, you know, a regular viewer, someone who's here pretty much week in, week out, I appreciate this a lot. I'm glad to hear that everything's going well in like real life. Getting your new job. Hopefully that means more pay. Hopefully meaning that this $50 super donation you gave me does not dent the wallet too much, because I do appreciate it. But in terms of LAN party story videos, we already had the next LAN party story video that's supposed to come out. The next one I'm trying to get out probably early July, just because I have so much other stuff on my plate in June. So you're gonna have a LAN party stories video hopefully in July for the March LAN, but then we are having a LAN party in September. End of September, we've scheduled it. So, yeah, that's what the gap is going to be looking like. Mike, also, yo, is the notifications playing, by the way? I can't hear it, but hopefully you guys are hearing the Spitfire alerts. With the 10 Neuro Budget memberships, thank you. We got KL130 with the membership, Baka, Patrick McGovern, Kevin B, the One Lad, Bradley, N6, yeah, Mike. Thank you. This isn't, it is not cheap to donate to a streamer like $50. It is not cheap to gift memberships, let alone get your own membership. So Mike, from the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. And glad to hear everything is going well on your end. You know we in a recession when Doback ain't here dropping 50 bombs anymore, you're right. Yeah. But I mean, I don't expect that to be a regular thing. When people are able to donate, and just be able to give what they can when they can, I'm appreciative of it regardless. Because think about it, there's so much competition in this space, whether it be on the YouTube side of things or Twitch side of things. How did someone decide to support me out of all the other channels that exist, bigger channels too? Like, there's so much other things that they could have thrown money to, but they chose to support me. So I just hope in turn I am bringing enough value to justify that decision for them, right? Am I bringing enough value in these streams in terms of the entertainment or you know, educational value, or just being a place for people to go to like de-stress at the end of a workday. So I bring enough value in my videos for people to not only watch the ads so that I can get paid through YouTube, but to go above and beyond and support with their own wallet. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this whole thing. So anytime you guys donate, just do know I do appreciate it. Bringing enough value, corporate trauma intensifies. That's so true. If you work for any company trying to push, record profit margins, you're gonna hear that term probably a lot. It's not about the size, it's about the community, for sure. And I think we've garnered a really good community here. I don't know about y'all, but I enjoy turning on the stream every single week. I enjoy creating videos, for you guys and for the subscribers. So I hope you guys, when you tune in, you're not only looking forward to every week being like, oh, Danny's streaming. Yeah, let's go to the stream. I hope you're looking forward to like, hey, I'm looking forward to going to the stream and talking to the regulars like Jason, Jane, Mike, Kale, JG Wright. I'm just looking through the names here because there's a ton of you guys who are here week in, week out. So I hope you guys are here for more than just me too, but for each other. Because we got a pretty cool thing going on. When will we get the next financial transparency video? Oh man, I've only done one of those. I could do that if I could. I mean, that's something that's always on the back burner. Like if I run out of video ideas, I could always put that off the shelf. But whenever I'm not drowning in new graphics card releases, LAN parties that I'm super behind on, given that the Texas LAN just came out recently and that was in January. So that's always a video that can be done if I am like struggling to find stuff. But I think there's other stuff that take priority over it. Patrick McGovern says you were for a while until Raid Night got moved. Wait. I forget, Patrick. Are you playing Dragonflight or Wrath of the Lich King? I think it was Wrath, right? I stopped raiding because, again, our guild crumbled, essentially. It crumbled. So now I play Diablo 4. Oh, Dragonflight. Okay. Yeah. Deathsaw says, I don't catch many live streams, but I enjoy your content when watched. You have a good thing here. Thanks, Deathsaw. I appreciate it. Retail. You know, it's funny. Retail, wow. I always kind of want to go back to retail just because retail will always be there. Any progress you make, unlocking transmogs and stuff, your achievements, it will always be there. Whereas classic, that has a limited shelf life. It will die. And once it dies, your character just kind of sits in this limbo on a server or on a classic expansion that will never be played again. Whereas retail, anything you do still gets carried forward with you. So I do want to play retail, but I don't have enough time right now. Diablo 4 is taking up a lot of my time when I'm not doing YouTube stuff or doing stuff outside in the real world. So yeah. Progress resets, but your titles, your transmogs, all that does not. And your character, you could say that you use... There are people out there who can say that I made a character back in 2004 in World of Warcraft Classic, and I'm still playing that same character to this day in World of Warcraft Dragonflight. You cannot say that with some of these classic stuff that's coming out based on the way that they're segmenting the game every time they release the next classic. So I think retail... I've evolved away from the retail WoW like gameplay and mindset, but I do still have fond memories of it and hopping back in on random expansions from time to time. Asmongold simp detected. Not you, Patrick. He's talking about me. After going to current retail, I could not go back. Yeah, that's funny. I loved vanilla classic or vanilla and classic, where I would prefer for them to do a vanilla classic plus or whatever over retail. But definitely, I mean, retail must be working because they haven't killed it off yet. People are still paying the subs. People are still buying the expansion. So yeah. I want to research WoW more and things like... Yeah, so MMOs, I am so fascinated by MMOs. MMOs is definitely not a top trending genre in this day and age. We've got like shooters like Valorant. We've got MOBAs like LoL. We've got and Call of Duty type shooters. Those are definitely leading the pack in terms of esports and like the gaming industry. And like, you know, single player AAA titles like God of War, You know, Starfield hopefully isn't a flop when it comes out. Those are the games that are driving the industry. MMOs are struggling right now. There are not many good MMOs. There's WoW, Final Fantasy 14, maybe Guild Wars. That's pretty much it. Everything else has like a very limited shelf life when a new MMO releases and it dies. So I am waiting for the resurgence of MMOs. I don't know when that will be, but hopefully there are a lot of titles being announced. They just all end up flopping though. New World that flopped. Um, Amazon's next thing, Thrones of whatever. What is that game called? Amazon Thrones of Kingdoms. Is that it? Thrones of Ash? No. What is that game called? Amazon Thrones MMO. Thrones and Liberty. I think that one is looking like it might start flopping already, and it's not even fully out yet. Diablo 4 so far looks and feels like Diablo 3. Are you playing it, Patrick? Or have you been watching content on it? Having played it, I do like the new system in Diablo where you could imprint the legendary effects on any item and you're not pigeonholed. And I do like the open worldness of it. Like when I'm doing like an event and some random people just hop in to help me out. I do like that kind of MMO feeling, even though it's not a completely open MMO, but it's more of an open world with multiplayer. I do like some of those improvements on it. It's too early to say because people aren't even really max level yet, maxing out builds. So it's too hard. It's hard to say in terms of the build mechanics and what you can do, especially without sets being out in Diablo 4 right now. It's hard to say whether or not long term it's going to be better or worse than Diablo 3. My wife is way more into it than I am. Can you even check hours? I don't know how many hours I put into it, but I put a decent amount in the free time that I've had. And yeah, there are people who are still playing Maple Story. Should we add that into the MMO list? Is Maple Story truly considered an MMO? I think it is. It's just one of the old school ones that has more limited like capacities and how much people they can fit on a screen in a world. She's more into D4. You're more into WoW. Do y'all have gaming PCs set up right next to each other in the same room? And do you guys like usually game at the same time? People will still play RuneScape. People who still play RuneScape Classic are mentally unwell. My friend James from Land Party Stories. James, he always had. You guys probably noticed in the Land Party Stories footage. He always brings 2 monitors to LAN, and he almost always has RuneScape on one, and then the game that we're playing on the other. James plays RuneScape Classic. Oh man, James is unwell. Indeed. Ashes of Creation. I've heard so many things about that for like the last 3-4 years. When's that thing coming out? Honestly, I don't think any MMO will come out that will be able to top Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft. And by topping, I don't just mean initial subscriber numbers, because even New World did decently well out of the gate, but now it's dead. Doing well means being able to last years and keep a healthy subscriber base, which Final Fantasy 14 and WoW has been able to do. Ashes of Creation, it's just, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna do enough to like sit up there with the best. Old school RuneScape, yeah. And so if Final Fantasy 14 was free, I think that would change. But old school RuneScape being free MMOs, it's kind of hard to compare that with subscription based because there is that barrier to entry. So even though Final Fantasy 14 has less numbers, in terms of like what it's achieved in staying relevant and keeping itself alive, I think that's more impressive than the player base that RuneScape is able to still hold, if that makes sense. Isn't there a new Star Wars? I mean, Star Wars already has an existing MMO. I don't know if another Star Wars MMO would be successful, but there's also Star Citizen, which I don't know what the heck is going on with that game. So yeah. Ashes of Creation is not another Star Citizen. Until it comes out, we will see. RuneScape is free, but 99% of the content is sub-based. But isn't RuneScape subs cheap? How much of that content is locked behind like $15-ish paywall versus like $5 paywall or something? I honestly, I've played RuneScape before. I can see the appeal. To some people, I can't get into it, but I mean, Okay, I actually want to show one game. Have y'all heard of this game? This is a game that I played a little bit and I actually enjoyed quite a bit. It's called Albion Online. This is a free-to-play game. It has graphics almost similar to RuneScape. I think it's better than RuneScape though. But this game is really cool. I wish people would get more into it because it has a unique look to it, but I think it's a better than old school RuneScape. It has more of a I think it even looks better than the new school RuneScape. But this game has open world PvP, open world gathering. This game there's no classes. The class is what you put on your character. So if you put a sword on them, the swords, it's kind of like Guild Wars 2, where you give your character a sword weapon, they will have these certain skill set that swords use. You give them a mace, it'll have a different skill set, whether it be AoE, stuns, and stuff like that. You give them a dagger, it'll be that. Also, your armor dictates what your class kind of is too. You could wear light armor, medium armor, whatever. So this is what I really love about a game like this. This is a true sandbox MMO. Your class is dictated by what you want to be at that given point in time. You you look like a Maple Story Guns or Gunbound type of kid. Never played Gunbound, never played Maple Story. I did play Guns. But I mean, look at this. So this character he's wearing a mace and a shield, but if you change it to a staff, you could become a totally different character. You don't have to re-roll a character to make a mage and re-roll to make a warrior. Your one character can do it all based on what they're wearing. I guess that's kind of like what the Final Fantasy class system is like too, though, right? That's where it's like Guild Wars did it with weapons, but they didn't do it with class and armor. And Final Fantasy had the job system, but this is like a like free game. Has, I think, really unique stylistic kind of look to it. And then open world PvP. If you kill somebody, you can take all their armor. This game is brutal, but it's called Albion Online. I wish more people played it because I would totally play it with like, a regular group of people. My wife also enjoys Power Wash Simulator. I've never heard of that. Yes, Albion is very confusing. I think a lot of MMORPGs, to someone who doesn't regularly play MMOs, to pick it up versus like a shooter or a MOBA, there's a lot to learn. Like it's just so many things thrown at you at once that you can do usually, and yeah. But again, like I said, MMOs is kind of a dying genre. It is on life support, so it is not surprising that many people are not into it or can't wrap their head around it. Yes, your clothing and weapon is determining basically your level almost. There is a level, I believe, but you also level up your armor or you build better armor and stuff like that. So, yeah. Is a 3060 obsolete for gamers? No way. A 3060 is still very usable. That thing just came out what, 2 years ago? It is not obsolete. Okay. I know Hardware Unboxed likes to have a lot of titles like obsolescence on release and stuff. They're being hyperbolic. They need like no card is truly obsolete on release. It is just very bad value. But no true card on release when you throw it into a system won't play games. Okay, it might just be very bad value because like VRAM is very low on it or something like that. But yeah, don't get into the mindset of a card that's only one generation old is already obsolete. A mid-tier card from one generation ago is not obsolete. People are still gaming on GTX 1060s, 2060s, 1660s right now with no issues. The 3060 is far from obsolete. You miss 8 player. Yeah. Diablo 3 and 4, they just need to add more players into it. What's wrong? What's up with them? Do they think people only want to game in groups of 4? Annoying. Jason, when did you last do a Diablo 2 LAN? I think a LAN with new characters on Diablo or even new characters on World of Warcraft would be super fun. Like just running around the entire time. It's kind of like doing a Valheim LAN. You're just all in the same area doing the exact same things together the entire time. And definitely a lot of fun can be had there. Oh, not since 2005? Okay, that's back in the day. All right, last question before we leave for the day. Sus says my little brother has a 2600X and a GTX 1060 and wants to upgrade. I'm thinking a 5600X. Yeah, that'd be a substantial upgrade. Though you might want to wait for the 5800X 3D because you don't want. When is that supposed to release? Whenever that is, look it up. I don't know if it's just speculation or rumors or when if they have a release date on it. But you don't want to feel FOMO if you buy a 5600X and then the X3D comes out for not much more, like a week or two later. But yeah, 5600X is a good buy. If you are trying to buy like right now, and from a 1060, yes, a 2 generational gap going to a 3060 or 3060 Ti or 3070 if you can find a good price. That is fine. Again, AMD will give you more frames per dollar, but if your little brother cares about ray tracing performance at all, or some like Nvidia broadcast features, if he's trying to get into streaming, then that's fine. Yeah, sticking with the 3000 series Nvidia, especially if you're looking are you looking at the used market? If you're looking at the used market, there's plenty of good deals to be had. I think 3070s are now you can find them for under $300 on eBay. So buy a 3070 used on eBay for less than 300. Do not spend 300 on a new 3060 is what I would say. That's my thoughts on it. I would yes, like Patrick McGovern said, I love the 6700/6750 XT right now. I think it's tons of value, but not everybody wants to go to AMD. So you have to take that into consideration. Either get a 6700 XT or a used 3070, or a used 3060 Ti or 3060 is fine too. Yes, used. Thanks so much for the information. For sure. Glad I was able to help. All right. This was a 2.5-hour stream. Thank you all for being here till the end. If you're still around, I appreciate it. In terms of upcoming content, again, 4060 Ti stuff coming out. Then we'll have the 7600 versus 4060, hopefully, soon after that comes out. LAN party stories, $400 budget build. Lots of stuff. I got some sponsors I got to throw in there too. I owe sponsors some stuff, so lots of content to come. So be on the lookout for that. Other than that, though, have a great rest of your evening or rest of your day, depending on where you are in the world. Have a great rest of your week coming up, as well as have a great weekend once that hits. I will see you in the comments on Twitter. If you haven't joined the Discord yet, we got a new link in the description. I'm on Discord in and out. On stream days, I usually am in Discord more often because I'm posting the announcement there and stuff like that. But there's always people in the Discord ready to chat, talk about PC tech and stuff if I'm not there. But yeah, you guys have a good night, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.